G'day folks. Well, I'm really pleased to be able to present the package that I've got here. I'm excited about what it is. There's 2 puzzles in here, so I'm going to start. This is incredibly well packed, sticky tape all over it, so let me see if I can make headway here. Alright, well these were really very well packed. There's a bit of plastic, or not plastic, bubble wrap that I've taken off these already, and they were ensconced in that. And you can see both of these puzzles in their box. Normally with any puzzle that comes, I always expect something like that to happen, because it's, let's be honest, they probably aren't handling this with care at the post office. So what have we got here? Well, the first thing is we notice one of these has got circle stickers on it and the other doesn't. So what I have here is 2 puzzles, the standard DodeRhombus, or DodeRhombus, I'm not sure, and the crazy DodeRhombus. So how this came about, I ordered the standard DodeRhombus. You can see that's the one without the circle stickers, and Cubes were good enough and kind enough to send me the crazy DodeRhombus for no cost. I've got to be honest, that was a fantastic gesture and I really appreciate that. It makes it a lot easier for me to review these puzzles as well. So I'm going to look at them one at a time. This is going to be a short first section because, as you will know, these puzzles are not stickered. I'll talk to you about how I'm going to deal with that in just a minute. So I don't think there's anything new on the box in terms of new puzzles that might interest people, so I'll just put that aside. Before I do anything, let's just check the turning of these. I'll just pick a random face. Oh my goodness, that is so nice. I am so relieved. I'm not surprised is the wrong word. Relieved is the correct word, because when you get puzzles like this, and they're quite complex puzzles, you're just worried that things will lock up or it won't be turning properly. And I am super happy with that turning. That is fantastic. And even looking at that, I'm trying to get this in the light. I don't know if you can see that, but I can't see a shred of lube anywhere. Just going to check on another side. I can't see any lube, I can't feel any lube. That is a brilliant sign when a puzzle turns as well as this is turning and it has no lube. Often you get them and they're kind of doused in lube. This is not. So in terms of that, oh, so far so good. Great puzzle at this point. Haven't stickered it yet. In terms of the stickers, I'm assuming they will be the standard sticker colours that we normally would have. So I think which one goes where. That normally matches there. The red and the orange, the blue and the yellow, and there's the grey. So I'm pretty sure that's the standard colours that would come with a normal rhombic dodecahedron, which is of course what these puzzles are. So when we look at a puzzle like this, this is also a rhombic dodecahedron. I believe this is the star scepter. This has 12 sides, each side is a rhombus, but it's clearly a completely different puzzle. There's different cuts and everything going on here. I had a look at this one just to get an idea of the sticker scheme, and I think this is fairly standard. I was just looking at the arrangement of the colours, and to me that looks pretty good. The only thing on this, I'd probably have a darker blue there, but you can see, well, that is certainly a darker blue than that one. So I think I'm going to sticker this in the same way. There doesn't seem to be any standard, this is how you sticker this, and these puzzles are coming unstickered, so you can sticker it how you like, but I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'll just put that one aside for a minute. That's the standard DodeRhombus, and let's bring the crazy one into the picture. You'll see the stickers for this one are, I would assume, the exact same colours, but as you can see, they've got circles on the faces instead of no circles. I'm at least glad the colouring is all the same. I'll look at those stickers later, because what I want to do with this one also is just test the turning with no stickers. Now that, to me, you can see this has a 0 face there, so the pieces in there are not turning. Now, when I'm turning it that way, it's fine. If I bring it back, it's also okay, but it looks like I do have to have that aligned fairly well. Let's test another side. Yeah, same kind of thing. So I don't know if it's because I'm left-handed. So if I turn, you know, the left face like that, it seems a little bit easier. I bring it back, that seems fine now, but you can see there it's just slightly caught. So I suspect this would have a little label, not for speed cubing, and that's fine. You don't really want a speed cube. This time I'm turning the right away, and it's not locking there, but if I do it like this, I can get it turning in that same direction. So I would say initially the turning of this is not quite as good as the standard. The standard I thought was fantastic. Again, I don't think there's any lube on this puzzle, so I'm still very, very happy with the turning of this. It looks great. I suspect it'll just mean we just have to align the faces quite well for some of the turns before we do it. What I want to do is get these things stickered. Now, some of you who've been watching my videos for a while will know that in previous years, when I needed something stickered, I did the only thing I knew how to do, which was ask my daughter to do it. Well, I've still got that daughter, and she's agreed to do it for some food. So I'm going to buy her some treats, and she's going to sticker this for me. If I stickered them, they'd look horrible. She's going to sticker them, and it's going to look great. So I'm going to get these dropped around to her, and I'm going to come back in a little bit later with some stickered puzzles. We're going to talk a lot more about them. Well, I can't tell you how happy I am that I waited until I got the black body version of this. Absolutely fantastic looking puzzle. Of course, they've been out for a little while in the coloured plastic, the milky plastic, I guess, but this is a black body version and it looks brilliant. And just having a look again at the turning now with these stickers on, you can see I've got the same beautiful turning that I had before with no stickers. So this is obviously the standard. And just looking up why it's called the DodeRhombus, I think that probably the correct pronunciation is the DodeRhombus, as in dodecahedron, DodeRhombus. But who knows? What matters is what this puzzle is, and you can see that it's turning so well. If I tried to do something like this, it would be a fairly standard routine. That is just, I'm so looking forward to solving this thing, because it's nice to get a puzzle that turns as it should turn. I've really got no catching on this at all in any sense. So you can see the stickers here, they look so much better on the puzzle, don't they? Really vibrant colours. Every colour is probably exactly what I'd want, apart from, just for me, that one there. I reckon I'd just prefer a little bit more yellow in that one. But all the other colours are perfect. So that's the standard DodeRhombus. I'm going to scramble this later in the video. Now this one here, this is of course the Crazy, and this looks fantastic. You can see again, the colours, I should talk about the stickers first, exactly the same colours, but it just looks brilliant on these faces with all the little parts. And you'll notice here that the cuts are not straight. So they don't go like that and then down like that. So I'm sure there's a reason for that, and it's potentially to do with lining up and being able to separate certain pieces, which I'm going to talk about soon. But when I'm turning this, this actually seems way better than when I was turning it without stickers. So there's my takeaway. If you put stickers on things, things will turn much better. I really can't tell you why that is. Perhaps it was just one face that was catching a little bit before, but oh, there we go, there's a little bit. And you can see it, sort of see there, if you turn it too fast, and I probably was then, I wouldn't turn it that fast in a solve, the little corner kind of comes out a little bit and maybe gets caught. So that's the sort of thing that you're wanting to avoid. Let's talk about on this puzzle the weight and the length and all that sort of thing. If you look at it like this, it's 9 centimeters. If you turn it around like this and go sort of from there to there, then that's 12 centimeters, and then the height is 9. So it's basically 12 by 9 by 9. Now, as to the weight of these things, the standard DodeRhombus weighs around about 317, maybe 318 grams, depending on which way the wind's blowing. The Crazy DodeRhombus weighs less than that, around about 311, maybe 312 grams. Let's now talk about the edges on both these puzzles, but we'll look at this one particularly. These edges are basically plus edges, and by plus I just want to take us back to the mix-up cube that Oscar produced years ago. And the mix-up cube is a 3x3 mix-up, but then the mix-up plus came out and those edges were split. Well, that's exactly what's happening here. We've got these edges, instead of being one piece, they are split edges. So that's going to enable us to separate the parts of those edges. So that's the standard DodeRhombus is actually when this puzzle was first made, not mass produced, but when it was made, it was called the DodeRhombus Plus. And so it's been marketed as the standard DodeRhombus. So you can scramble and solve this thing just with using 180-degree turns, no problems. And you can see already that's going to scramble quite quickly, and it's going to be a good challenge just on its own. I will scramble it in this video, but not quite yet. I want to say one thing about these tips. There are some other puzzles where the tips, you can just kind of quite easily turn them. That does not happen on this puzzle. These tips are firmly in place. They cannot be moved. So that's fantastic news there. So let's just talk about perhaps separating a couple of these pieces. If I hold the cube maybe like this, and I'll do, let's say something like that, and just note that it's the blue-red and the two blue-red pieces there that I'm looking at, seeing if I can separate. If I turn that around so that that piece there lines up with that cut, I can then turn that off, and that has separated those two pieces. So not too tricky to do it from its solved state. Obviously, if it's completely shape-shifted, it's quite different. Now, you've just seen there are some jumbling moves as well. So what's going on with the jumbling? Well, this has a number of stops where you can jumble the puzzle, I suppose. So if I turn it 180, that's one of the stops. But before that, if I turn it like, let's say like that, you can see that I've got those two there which are able to move. I'll do another turn and get it to around there. So just a little bit more. I've got these two. You can see this gets quite close to each other, but certainly not touching. And again, I should say that in the solved state, I'm able to show you all of these jumbling moves because of that. If it's scrambled and it's shape-shifted, you're not necessarily going to be able to do everything you want. So that's second. And we turn to there, that's the third one. Now we've got another one which will be this one here, I think, which is back to this sort of thing. And then the fourth one is that one there. And then we return to the finish. So that's pretty interesting, and it makes for a far more challenging solve being able to jumble this puzzle. Now what's interesting is you remember that I just showed you about separating some pieces here. Now what was I doing? Let's say that I turn it, I think I turned it up like that and around to here, and that's one sort of position, and then I kept going like that, and then I could separate those pieces. Well, let's have a look at trying to do that same sort of thing on the 𝙃𝙕𝙕𝙕𝙇𝙀 version, and perhaps I'll even do the same, the red-blue as well. So I turn this up to there, that's fine. I turn it around to there. You can see these cuts have now lined up, and this is clearly not going to be a speed solving because you're going to be wanting to line everything up properly. And then I turn, but something's gone wrong. What's gone wrong? Well, it actually looks really good. It looks like all the cuts are lined up and everything, but sort of under here you can see, because this has a circle, there's this corner, I don't know how, I hope the angle's good there, but this corner is breaking that circle. And so when I try and turn it, in order to turn a face with a circle, I need that not to happen. And so I find that really, really interesting, that just by having this circle cube, suddenly that move is not quite available to us. You might be noticing that, you might be able to see much clearer now than previously, there were some 0 faces and some 1 faces on this puzzle. I figured out that these puzzles seem to be shipped with 3 1 faces and the rest 0 faces. So let's just be really clear. What's a 0 face? That face there, you can see I'm turning the outer layer and the circle parts are staying fixed. This face here, oh sorry, that's a 0 face where the circle parts stay fixed. This face here, I'm turning the outer layer and all the circle parts move with it. That's called a 1 face. Now, because there's no stickering scheme and there's no way of knowing what you should put where, I had to make a decision about which of the 3 faces should be my 1 faces. I just decided for now just to put them on the white face. I think the other one was it the orange? It was the orange, and the other one might have been the pink. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, like that. Those are my 3 1 faces. The rest are all 0 faces. So really not sure why MF8 decided to configure the puzzles like this. It seems a bit of a strange thing, unless there's something that I'm totally missing. I would have thought they'd put them all 0 faces. Are we stuck with this? We are not stuck with this at all. We can change these centers to be whatever we want. So let's say that I don't want this white face to be a one face. What I need to do is remove the cap. That's like that, and that piece will come off, and you can see there's a little screw in there. So I'll remove the screw. Okay, that screw appears to be out, and then I can just dislodge this whole, should be able to dislodge this whole piece. Now, if the screw comes out like that, what I would generally do is just get some tweezers, grab this little bit and pull it out. Some of you may recognize this piece type as sort of a bit like the unicorn piece type. So there's that, but that's not all that is going on there, because down the bottom here inside, the other part has come off. So let me grab that as well. I find it much easier to work with if I just take out those pieces there, and there's absolutely no thought of any of these other pieces breaking apart. That's one of the great things about this puzzle. It seems very, very solid and firm. Now, if I just grab that in there, you can see, okay, there's an extra piece here. Now remember that this was a one face, so the screw was through like that. In fact, it wasn't like that at all. It was through there, and then it was through like that. Okay, so that's the configuration you need for a one face. Let's change it to a zero face. We just want to remove that piece and flip it upside down so the cylinder is facing upwards. And then we'll put it back in. Now I won't bother putting the center cap back on yet. This was a one face. You can see that has now been turned into a zero face. Very, very simple to do. I will say that this part goes in very, very simply. The only tricky bit, it's not even tricky, is just these little pieces here. When you put them back in, occasionally they can just sort of dislodge a little bit, sort of fall into the middle. You just have to do it again. But in terms of the puzzle breaking apart, that's my biggest fear, is the whole thing comes apart. That is simply not going to happen on this puzzle. So that's turned that into a zero face. So that's pretty simple just by switching the cap. But wait, there's more. You remember that if I hold it with the cylinder up, I've got a zero face. If I put it on with the cylinder down, I've got a one face. What about if we just leave it out? Let's remove it. Of course, that piece has now been removed, and I'm back to a one face, but even better, I've now got free turning circle in here. And you can make that turn as as smoothly or as not smoothly, depending on the tightness of the screw inside. But straight away, that adds just a new complexity to things, because there we go. That's very, very interesting. But wait, there's more. If you have both of the puzzles, the standard and the crazy, you can combine the pieces. So these are some pieces from the standard puzzle, and they just pull apart. So this circle edge, they pulled apart there and there, and same with this one. And now you've got a two-face puzzle. So what's a two-face puzzle? Well, it's a puzzle that has circles and non-circles on the same puzzle. How does this change things? Well, this face here functions as an ordinary standard face. This yellow face here, the pale yellow, is a zero face. If I turn the white face on there now, which does not have circle pieces, that's now blocks the turning, makes it much more interesting. What if I turn the, let's say, the white face onto the orange face? What's the orange face? The orange face is a one face, so the circle parts turn. If I turn that white face onto the one face, the face will still turn. Even more interesting. So what we can have now is a two-face puzzle with zero faces, one faces, and which one was it? I think it might have been this one here. We've also got this free turning circle like that. So we can have all of this on the same puzzle. Can I get one of the white faces over? Does that belong there? Can I get a white face over to the green face? Remember, the green face is a one face. So if I put the white face there, I can still turn that face, but now the free turning circle part is blocked because I don't have a circle there. Fascinating stuff. Amazing what you can do with two of these puzzles, the crazy and the standard. So I've put all the puzzles back to the normal state. This is the standard. I've also put the crazy one back so it all has zero circles, zero face circles. So I'm going to do some scrambling now. And the way I think to scramble it is initially just doing 180-degree turns. And this will also hopefully show that the turning there was sort of not a fluke. This is a really, really well made puzzle. The more I play with this, and as yet I haven't played with it much, but I'm really, really impressed with how well it's turning. There's no, on this one particularly, there's no thought of any kind of popping or exploding or even catching. You can just hear it's turning beautifully. Question is whether I can actually scramble it. So that'll do for now, just for a 180 type scramble. You can see all of these pieces are still waiting to be moved. So I've got to try and remember now, what did I do to separate them? And this is where the jumbling comes in. You don't have to go straight to a normal state with jumbling, like to a shape-shifted state. What you can do is potentially something like this. Let's see if I can get this right. Turn that to there. Now, is that the right one? Actually, I can do that. There you go. And I've jumbled some stuff straight away, but it's retained its shape, or its non-shape-shifted state. So that's one thing you can do. If I do want to start separating some of these pieces, what am I going to have to do? Let's try this again, and there we go. You can see the yellow blue there. I can now go and separate that. Now, there's got to be, I'm actually just going to stop here in terms of not jumbling it, because I want to play around with how can you separate these and retain the state that it's in, if that's actually possible. Because at the moment, I mean, I can do a 180 perhaps, I can do something else and return that. Can I return that there? No, because of that. Can I take it to there perhaps? I can return it there, but you can see very quickly it's shape-shifted like crazy. So I'll leave that there for now. I'm going to see if I can find different ways of separating these pieces and retaining the shape. And here's the other one, the circle one. All the faces are 0 faces, so the center parts stay fixed. Again, I don't reckon I've found a very simple way to separate some of these pieces, but you can see now there's even more pieces to separate. So it's not just this edge and this edge, it's the circle pieces within the edges as well. And we've also got a little circle piece for that outer circle. So I'm nowhere near, I haven't played with this anywhere near enough to know how to do all them properly yet, but I am just going to do a 180 scramble here and we'll see how that goes. I expect the turning maybe slightly not as good as the other one, but turning this now, it seems really, really good. This, of course, is the, I guess you'd call this the standard, well, that's the wrong word in this context, the circle puzzle. So as soon as I change one of the faces to a one face, let's say, I've got a completely different puzzle. So as I've hinted at before, there's just so many different varieties that are possible now. I think with all those different things you can do with the faces, there's got to be hundreds of possible puzzles you can make. Here, this looks so cool. You can see for some reason it is turning so well. It's not turning anywhere near, well, I mean, it wasn't turning badly when I didn't have it stickered, but it just seems to be turning so well now. Stickering is amazing. So you can see here, there's an example of these blue-red pieces there, the outer pieces need to be separated. Now I've separated them from the circle pieces, but the circle pieces also need to be separated. From what I understand, that's quite a bit trickier than normal. So again, I'm not going to shapeshift this here because I want to play with it in its non-shapeshifted form first, but the sort of thing that we would be doing, I guess, initially is possibly, as I said before, we can't, if I try and do the same thing that I did before, and turn this one around here and then go to separate that from that, it's going to be blocked, and it's blocked, I believe, because of that. So I'm going to have to be much smarter about this, but you can see just from that, it is going to shapeshift madly. Could do that sort of thing. I could put this down here. I don't want to go too far because I don't want to lose what I'm doing, but there we go. Can I bring this back into the state that it was? I really hope so. Ooh, I don't know about that. I think I might have lost what I'm doing here. No, it's all good. The world is still spinning on its axis. So there you have it, the standard DodeRhombus, the crazy DodeRhombus. So many variations possible with both of these puzzles. Even with just this one, there are multiple variations, but this just takes it to a whole new level. So fantastic work by MF8. This is a wonderful set of puzzles. Both these puzzles are high quality puzzles. They do not come apart. They don't seem to pop at all. It is great to see some well-made puzzles from MF8. So do yourself a favour. Buy both these puzzles if you're interested. Do MF8 a favour by supporting them. Do Cubes a favour by buying it from the Cubes store. And do my channel a favour by buying it using the links in the description of this channel. Hope you've enjoyed that. As always, thanks for watching.